So we're really excited to announce our new project, Grid Condos, which is located at the southeast corner of Dundas and Jarvis. And to step back a second from Grid, what really motivated us to continue exploring the area that Grid Condos is located in is the tremendous success that we had at Core Condos. After we sold the project, and for those that aren't familiar, Core Condos is located at the corner of Shooter and Church, only a few blocks away from Grid Condos. When we launched Core Condos in 2014, it was the first time we brought a project that was east of Yonge. And by east of Yonge, I mean literally just 2 blocks away from Yonge. So very close, but still somewhat an unknown territory for us and for the development community as a whole at the time we brought it to market in 2014. What we saw in the subsequent weeks after launching really inspired us and energized us about what was really happening in the area. Core Condos sold out in a matter of days, and if I had another 25 stories to sell, I think we could have done it literally in another matter of days. The demand to be in that location was tremendous, and really what we kept hearing over and over and over again from the astute investor is Ryerson University. As Ryerson University has expanded at an exponential rate over the last number of years, what we noticed in studying their growth is that their growth has been in buildings to service the actual act of learning and studying. What hasn't been accompanying that growth is growth in the amount of student accommodation. So while Ryerson has grown, I've recently read about 6,000 students in just the last few years alone. Because they're an urban campus, because their focus is downtown Toronto, and because they're not residential developers, they're an educational institution, it's left to developers like us to fill the gap of providing housing in close proximity to the university. And as you may recall back to your student days, student life is about convenience. It's about being able to roll out of bed and right into the classroom or right into the study room or exam room. And as Ryerson's grown, it hasn't been able to keep up the accommodations for its student body. So that growth in this area of the city, in this area of downtown, has really been a tremendous catalyst for an emergence of new residential condominium developments. And it's only started in the last few years, but what the market is telling us and has told a number of other projects is the depth of demand to live in this area is almost limitless. It's an area of the city that has been underserved by the residential developers, ourselves included, for far too many years now. And that's just now starting to change. And we feel really excited to have the opportunity to bring to market what we think is one of the best locations. It's right on the footsteps of the Ryerson campus. You're kitty corner from the future Ryerson development, and you're only a 2 to 3 minute walk away from almost every single major building on the Ryerson campus. Right on the Dundas Street, where you've got the streetcar right there. You're a couple blocks away from Yonge Street, Eaton Centre, Yonge Dundas Square, all the amenities of downtown Toronto in a location in an area of the city that is today an incredible area and only continues to get better over time. Today's condo investor is very smart. And in addition to being very smart, they have a lot of choices, and they can decide amongst a sea of projects. So when we put together the program for Grid Condos, we asked ourselves the question, what will differentiate and distinguish Grid from the rest? And we quickly came to the realization that today's condo investor is doing a cash flow analysis. They're trying to determine for themselves, how does my monthly annual situation look like if I were to buy in this project versus another project? And when we looked at the sea of condo projects throughout the city, what we realized is the majority of them actually, at today's pricing and the cost of carrying property taxes, maintenance, and your condo fees, you're actually in most cases in a negative cash flow situation. And the idea is you hold for the upside and appreciation in value. We thought to ourselves, with the location that we have, with the incredible suite designs that we have, and if we can price it right, we can achieve a positive cash flow situation, meaning every month the owner could pull out cash in addition to holding a condominium located in the heart of downtown Toronto and Ryerson's urban campus. And we designed the whole program according to that. So when it came time to designing our suites, we knew the more we can make efficient layouts, usable space, and great unit designs, that would drive rental income to a maximum point, but most importantly would keep the carrying costs, the ownership costs of the property very low. Grid Condos, when you look at the price point of the project that we're going to be coming to market with, we're not going to have any suites in the building priced out the gate through to the first release of buyers above $450,000. So 2-bedroom units in downtown Toronto will be priced from the high threes to the low fours. Where in the city you can buy in this location at this price point is I've not seen a project that offers such an incredible value. So when you do the math as an investor and you look at what the rents you can generate from the property are and your carrying costs when you factor in the low cost of purchase and acquisition, we feel that Grid Condos offers the best cash flow situation of any condominium project out there on the market today. The name Grid Condos was originally inspired by the architectural design of the project, something we're extremely excited and proud about. The east and the west facades of the project have a really unique and intricate pattern of grid diagrams throughout the project, throughout the elevations on the east and the west. And I remember being in a sales and marketing meeting many months ago where I had invited our architect to speak to the team and to explain his inspiration behind the design. And as he was describing the pattern on the east and the west and the grid nature of it, I thought to myself, that's perfect. That distinguishes this project architecturally, but secondarily, the name Grid is also tied to the grid system of downtown Toronto. Every great city, Toronto, New York, Tokyo, Shanghai, are based on grids, the streets and avenues intersecting. And Dundas and Jarvis is an incredibly important intersection on the Toronto grid system. So Grid is an urban downtown project focused on obviously the urban student, but also inspired by the architectural design of the building. While I often talk about the focus on the student demographic in this building, I want to be clear about one thing, and that is that this isn't a university residence by any stretch. When you see the final finishes and the quality and the artistic design that's gone into designing this project, both on the outside and on the inside, you'll very quickly realize it's a high-end, classy project, and it is going to be a luxury project in the student demographic. And as an example, our lobby, which is an extremely important component of the project because for the majority of students who don't drive and who are going to be walking to and from classes, they're going to be coming into the building in and out of the lobby as opposed to in and out of the parking garage in a number of other buildings. So in thinking about that and thinking about the image that we wanted Grid Condos to portray to its residents, to its end owners, we wanted to create class and luxury and timelessness. So the lobby itself is a double height, expansive space, 24/7 concierge, beautiful stonework on the walls and on the floors, beautiful wood paneling on some of the other walls, custom art pieces, a luxurious linear long fireplace. It's going to have the look and feel of a 5-star hotel as you walk through the doors. So while we talk about students and while we focus in on that, we're not losing sight of the fact that a project, Grid Condos, has to have timelessness and elements of quality and design that will carry it for 20, 30, 40 years to come as being a high profile, high quality building. When it comes to suite designs, there's really two schools of thoughts amongst developers out there. Develop from the outside in or develop from the inside out. And what that means is some schools of thought, which we don't ascribe to, is to create the exterior of a building first and then determine the inside in terms of the suite plans and the layouts. And what that sometimes results in is, well, more often than not, results in unique architectural designs of waves and curves and sharp angles. But then when you take that into the inside, it creates really unusable, unlivable, inefficient spaces. And not only that, but very difficult to comprehend suite uses. Whereas for us, we look at the approach of the most important thing that we do in terms of design is the suites themselves. How do the suites lay out? How are they usable and functional for the end user demographic? So when we started the project with Grid Condos, as we do with all of our projects, we started from the inside out. We started it by designing what we thought was the ideal suite mix and floor plate and worked with our architectural design team to create a masterful design to the outside. So without sacrifice anything on the exterior of the building, we've been able to create an incredibly efficient and usable interior layouts. Specifically as it relates to Grid Condos, in thinking about the target demographic, namely the Ryerson student, we wanted to create suites that really focused on this demographic. And when we started to study what it was that the right suite mix in this project would look like, we quickly looked at a couple of factors. First of all, affordability. Students in downtown Toronto on a student's budget don't typically live on their own. They typically have to have a roommate and have to have somebody else to supplement the rent. Sometimes 3, sometimes 4 roommates. So in designing our layouts and designing our suites, we realized it was very important to create spaces that could accommodate multiple tenant situations. That allows it to be affordable to the end user demographic, but at the same time, for the investor who owns the condominium, it allows them to generate enough rent to more than offset the carrying costs of their mortgage, their property tax, and their maintenance fees. But that second part of the equation is also important, the carrying costs. Everything for the astute investor is about the relationship from what they can generate in income to what it costs and the cash flow position it puts them in ultimately. So knowing that we wanted to create suites that had ability to accommodate multiple tenants, we did that with the notion that we also had to do whatever we could to create the lowest price point project so that we can allow the carrying costs to be low, to again create that greatest cash flow return picture. In doing that, what we've done is create incredibly efficient suites. And by that, I mean 2-bedroom suites in the 600 to 650 square foot range, 1-bedroom plus den suite, which the dens are truly convertible, could be used in most cases as a second bedroom if there was a demand to have 2 tenants in the property, and those between 495 and 575 square feet. And one efficient 1-bedroom on the floor, 415 square feet, which is an incredibly efficient 1-bedroom layout. In doing that, we've created a floor plate throughout the whole building that we think really accommodates and really tailors to the end user demographic while maintaining a very efficient price point, thereby creating a great cash flow position for the end buyer. In recent history, throughout the city, there's been a drive from a number of developers, ourselves included, to try to create the most number of studios and 1-bedrooms possible in the building, because historically those have been the units that have sold out the fastest, they're the lowest end price point, and they tend to have been the most popular suites. However, as we studied this area and we thought about the demographic at play here, we realized that's not the approach that does well in this location. That's not what the astute investor is going to be looking for when they think about this as an investment opportunity for them. Instead, what they want is to create multiple sources of income. They want to have 2, if not 3 tenants in these units because they realize the student demographic ultimately needs to have multiple tenants to be able to afford the cost of living downtown. So with that knowledge in mind, we created a floor plate that's quite distinct to some of our other projects. In our typical floor plate, which is comprised of 12 units, 11 out of the 12 units are a 1-bedroom plus den or 2-bedroom units. The 1-bedroom plus dens are designed in such a way that the den can practically act as a second bedroom for students who will ultimately live within pretty confined quarters. So we've been able to create a floor plate that really speaks to the location, really speaks to the demographic of who's going to live in the building, and really creates a great investment opportunity for buyers. When we set out to design the suites at Grid Condos, we wanted to follow some of the principles that we've learned from our past projects that create great layouts. Namely, we wanted no wasted space. So very quickly, if you look at a number of projects throughout the city and you look at their layouts, while the sizes may be larger than some of the units in Grid, if you look at the amount of wasted space, corridor conditions, odd corners, areas that aren't truly usable space, and you relate that back to the suites that we've designed here at Grid, you realize that while our 2 bedrooms might be 630 or 640 square feet, they actually are more efficient and better layouts than some units of 700 to 800 square feet in other projects. If you brought 2 people into our 2 bedrooms and you took them to those 2 bedrooms, regardless of the size differences, they would appreciate the efficient layout of the 2-bedroom. So suite designs really matter. In addition to not having any wasted space, we've been able to achieve split bedrooms, meaning in the 2-bedroom units, both bedrooms are split from each other, not back to back, which we've learned is a very important principle to creating great spaces. And secondarily, all of our bedrooms in every single suite are along the glass. So there's no inboard bedrooms with glass sliders that allow light through. Instead, every suite, every bedroom in every suite is on the glass. When you combine these factors together, while the suites are very small and efficient in size, when you look at the suites and you see the renderings that we put together and what they're going to look like, they're very spacious because we've created the ultimate wide and shallow suites where you've got width into your unit and shallowness that focuses the square footage of the suite in the living space. And with our linear kitchens that are very efficiently designed, you create very open spaces. And it's really exciting when we go through the 12 floor plans on our typical floor. I can't find an area of any wasted space. And that creates great long-term value for the owners and ultimately generates great rents relative to the price point of the unit on the investor side. In developing a project, in designing even the marketing campaign, but more importantly the suite designs, the amenity program, the price point, we think it's very important to target and define who the end user is. Because a lot of that design and study will integrate itself into how you bring a project to market and how you develop a property. And very quickly we realized that Ryerson at our doorstep, huge demand for student housing in the area, Grid Condos could serve a very focused demographic, the Ryerson student. And in thinking about the Ryerson student and thinking about what it is that the Ryerson student needed, we went on a little bit of an exploratory journey to understand what the life and plight was like of a Ryerson student today. A couple months ago, Ryerson opened its doors to its new learning center on Yonge Street, located where the old Sam the Record Man used to be. And for those not familiar, the Learning Center is a 7-story, beautifully designed architectural space that I would describe as a 21st century library. It's not the books and stacks and cubicles of old, it's the new environment of open space, modular furniture, very comfortable seating, constant flow of Wi-Fi technology and activity. It's a hub of student life. What was really interesting when we went into the Student Learning Center a few weeks after its opening, only earlier this year, we couldn't find a seat. We couldn't find a single place to sit. Every student in there was looking, every student that wasn't seated was looking for a place to sit, and it was very clear to us that there was a huge demand for this amenity for the Ryerson student. And as we discovered and dug a little deeper, we realized that the students that didn't find a space to work in the Ryerson Learning Center would go to neighborhood coffee shops or diners or cafes. And even that was a challenge for them to find places to sit. So as we thought about this more and more, it started to give us ideas about the amenity program at Grid Condos. Historically, amenities have been something we've struggled with because if you look at the history of condominiums and how their amenities perform over time, more often than not, amenities only serve two purposes. One, to collect dust, and two, to drive up condo fees. And both of those are real negatives. When we thought about amenities, or when we think about amenities, we want to create value for the owner or value for the end user who will ultimately pay greater rents to the owner. And in doing so, you've got to create amenities that are actually usable, add value, and something that most tenants or residents in the building could think to use over time. In thinking about that fact and the fact that the Ryerson student has a lack of space once they're outside of the classroom, we thought there would be a perfect idea to create the Grid Learning Center, which we were inspired by the Ryerson Learning Center and wanting to bring that experience as an exclusive amenity to the residents of Grid Condos. And what that's resulted in is us taking an entire floor of the project, over 6,000 square feet of interior space and nearly 3,000 square feet of exterior space into what we're calling the Grid Learning Center, which is a 21st century digital library. So if you can imagine, similar to the way that the Ryerson Learning Center was designed, it's going to be open concept, beautifully designed spaces with modular furniture which would allow individual study, group activity, or a combination of both, studying with a friend, studying alone. Also would allow for breakout work centers, workstations for group projects. Will be outfitted with high-speed wireless internet, scanners, photocopiers, all the current technology that students need, but often don't have the money or space to accommodate in their own apartment. In addition to wanting to create a great space, vibrant space for student life and activity in the Grid Learning Center, we realized that the Ryerson student and the students in general care about two things: looking good, being physically fit and active, and partying. So we've taken an entire additional floor, the third floor in the property, and are going to be creating a state-of-the-art fitness center, over 3,000 square feet with all the latest and greatest technology, so that anybody living in the building can throw out their expensive gym membership and instead have the exclusive amenity at their doorsteps. And on the other side of that floor, we're creating a great party space, which for graduation parties, end of exam parties, birthdays, etc., can be booked out for the use of the residents. And lastly, in addition to those two amenities on the floor, we've created 2 guest suites. Sometimes we create no guest suites, sometimes we create 1. But on this project, in Grid Condos, we decided to have 2 guest suites because it was very important for the out-of-province and out-of-country students, which is a large portion of the Ryerson student body, to have within their building, within their amenities, a place that they could put up friends and family who were visiting them from out of town. At the incredible price point that we're coming in at out the gate, we're only offering that to a select number of our closest partners who have been with us for our projects past. So in order for somebody to purchase a unit at Grid Condos at the pricing that we're going to be coming out, the aggressive price point out the gate, and to get access to units, because we fully expect this project to have overwhelming demand, you have to be able to work with one of our top partners, including Giovanni and Susan, Jolly and Rai, Eugene and Sujan, who have come together to work on this development and who are some of our best performing agents over the past number of years, who were giving an exclusive opportunity to bring this project to their clients, a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to bring this project to their clients. In 2011, we launched Peter Street Condos, a 40-story high-rise project at the corner of Peter and Adelaide. We came out the gate and hit an incredible sales velocity. The market response was beyond our wildest expectations, so much so that within a year of launching the project, we were 100% sold out and under construction, an attribute that we take great pride in. Because what it allowed us to do subsequently is commence construction right away and complete the project in 3 years after that. So 4 years from our launch, we were 100% sold out, closed, registered, and fully occupied in the building. And that's part of our philosophy at Center Court, which is precision execution. While we talk a lot about the sales side and what it means to create a great project, great suite designs, and great value, if you get that right, as we were able to do with Peter Street, it allowed us to get construction underway very quickly and deliver a project to the buyers, the owners in the building that was on time, was delivered exactly according to plans and specifications, and today everyone that's closing the project feels really great. We followed Peter Street with the incredibly successful launch of Karma Condos in October of 2011. That's a 50-story, 495-unit project at Yonge and College. Karma Condos actually sold out in a matter of weeks, and we could have never imagined the positive response that we received there, but we're delighted with that response. And again, similar to Peter Street, within 12 months of launching the project for sales, we were 100% sold out and under construction. We followed Karma Condos in February of 2012 with Index Condos located at Bay and Adelaide. Index is the largest project we've ever developed. It's a 54-story, 798-unit project that really redefined a neighborhood, created an area of the city, the downtown financial core, as a residential location where others hadn't really seen that opportunity before. And Index Condos, within, again, similar to Karma and Peter Street earlier, within 12 months, we were 100% sold out in the ground and under construction. Most recently, we brought a project to market called Core Condos in January of 2014. And Core Condos is a 24-story project, 221 units, sold out in a matter of days. And we were under construction in 9 months. And in all 3 cases, Peter Street, as I mentioned, is fully closed, occupied, and registered. Karma, Index, and Core are all well under construction and well on their way to delivering occupancy in the times that we proposed and suggested to buyers. So really what that gives to us, the excitement that provides to us, is that not only have we had tremendous response on the sales side between picking great locations, developing the right suite designs, and hitting the right price point, but we've been able to execute beyond that. We've been able to avoid a lot of the pitfalls that other developers have fallen into by continuing the momentum of sales, continuing it through the zoning and permits and approval process into construction and ultimately into delivery. And we take great pride in all aspects from the start of a project to handing over the key to the purchaser. And by having the success that we've had on the sales side, it's allowed our entire team to focus on the execution of the project. And what does that mean? That means delivering according to plans and specifications, no surprises. It means having incredible customer care and deficiency control. So when you walk into a suite that's developed by CentreCourt, we sure hope there's not a single deficiency in there that you can see. And if there is, we want to resolve it well before you come in for occupancy. It means it allows us to have some of the cleanest statement of adjustments that we've ever seen in the industry, where we don't have to charge massive adjustments that are surprises to a lot of buyers because our projects were delayed and we had to pay incremental development charges to the city. So really the story of CentreCourt and our focused approach is focusing on a project at any given time, executing it as efficiently and effectively as possible, and delivering a great project to the buyer in a timely fashion, and providing exactly what we try to set out to when we launch a project for sales.